What's up, everyone? How you doing? What's going on? Happy Monday. Colin Egglesfield here. It is time for another episode of Coffee with Colin. And tonight, I'm so excited because for the first time ever, I actually have a returning guest. And she's going to be accompanying her with, who's going to be accompanying with her is her lovely partner, who I happened to work with years ago back in Hollywood when I was just a newbie actor. And you guys are going to be so excited to hear from these two. They are absolutely lovely. They are incredibly sexy. But not only that, they're just two of the nicest human beings you will ever meet. And we're going to be talking all about what it's like to be in a relationship and what it's like to do what they do. It's going to be an incredible conversation. But before I get to that, just want to say a quick shout out to Picticular. Picticular is the app that allows you to curate and find the movies and the movies of the actors that you love to watch. And it makes it easy for you to be able to find where to watch these movies because all you got to do is type in the actor's name or the movie. It has an algorithm so you can swipe left or right. So it starts to recommend what movies are like what you like and recommends the movies that it thinks that you would want to watch the most. And then when you find the movie that you want to watch, all you got to do is click on it, shows the trailer, and then it shows exactly where you can watch it. Netflix, Vudu, Amazon Prime, all the platforms that are out there. So it makes it super easy for you guys to find projects and be able to enjoy movies and the movie recommendations from my guests. And we're going to be getting the particular Pick 6 movie recommendations from our guest tonight that you can watch and check out. And also want to give a big shout out to Miriam Johnson Productions. She's my producer. And if you are looking to create your own podcast or create your Patreon platform and all that stuff to be able to connect with creating content, connect with your audience, Miriam is incredibly helpful and amazing at helping me do this. So she's willing to help you too. But don't steal her away from me because she's great at what she does and I absolutely need her. So we started the Inspire course this past Sunday. We have a great group. If you are still interested in joining Inspire, this is your last opportunity to do so. And also I'm excited to announce that in April, I'm going to be doing my first 5-day retreat of Inspire in Tulum, Mexico. It's going to be an amazing week of just complete rejuvenation. We're going to be doing some yoga, breath work. We've got some amazing shamans and some mentors and teachers and coaches. And I'm going to be doing a 5-day live Inspire course. So if you're interested in participating in this incredible week of rejuvenation and healing and connection, all you got to do is go to my Instagram bio, or you can go to Crowning Phoenix on Instagram and check out the information there. All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, again, I am super excited to have these two lovely individuals on the show tonight. So grab your coffee or your adult beverage and stay tuned for an incredibly inspiring conversation. So without any more delay, let's bring to the stage Miss Sharna Burgess and Mr. Brian Austin Green.
Yes, indeed.
How's it going?
How are you, sir?
So great to see you guys. You know, you actually look like you actually like each other. That's amazing.
No, don't be fooled.
Yeah, we don't. This is just for you.
Yeah. So looks like, are you in your shooting kitchen there?
Yep. Yeah, we're in our kitchen area. We actually just moved right before Thanksgiving. We bought a house. We went to move to a new area. We love it. The sunrises and sunsets here, we get both of them. It's really amazing. But we're still settling in and making the home our own with lots of stuff we want to do. But that's the fun part, right? Okay. Now we get to go through and talk about all the ways we want to make it feel like us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's a slow process, you know.
Yeah, totally. I had a few houses in my day. And, if you ever need someone to come over and swing a hammer for you, don't ask me.
Listen, this one loves swinging a hammer.
You won't actually build anything. You'll just walk in and swing a hammer.
No, I just yell at the contractors for not showing up. So
perfect.
Yeah. So great to see you guys. Thanks for being here. And so you have a little new addition to the family.
We do.
Yeah.
He's the coolest thing ever. He is now 7 months, which is crazy that he's 7 months old. It's gone so fast.
Yeah.
But Zane is a happy, chunky, healthy little man.
He's boisterous. Yeah. He's super opinionated.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Very. He only cries when there really is something going on.
Okay.
But he's so grown sometimes. Like you go to give him a bottle and he just slaps it out of the way. He's like, no, I don't want that right now.
I know.
He's just not right now. I'm busy. He's such a personality, and you really notice that when you have a baby. You're like, oh my God, you've turned up as a whole human. I don't need to shape that for you. I just need to give you a safe space.
Just guide you. Just make sure you don't hurt yourself, and make sure you're fed.
Yeah.
And
where does the name Zane come from?
Honestly, we went through a lot of names and seeing what we did, what we liked. I had a whole list of names together. Bri really liked the name Walker, and I really liked the name Zane. I love a strong one-syllable name. Yeah. And so I just really gravitated towards it. We played around with different spellings and all the rest of it. But I think I won the first name because I was like, you've named 4 kids already. Like, I'm gonna name one.
My turn.
So he gave it to me.
You got to pick your battles.
Yeah.
And Zane was a really cool name.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's not like it's not like you want to name him Jehoshaphat, like it's not. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not going. It's a crappy name compared to my great name. So it was like we were looking at combos of Walker Zane or Zane Walker. So
Zane Walker just felt like a good flow.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And like I was saying before the show here, I've got 7 nieces and nephews. I've yet to change a diaper, but again, if you want Uncle Colin to come over and, change a diaper, let you guys go out.
And as we discussed with you before we came on, no. we're gonna turn down that offer because it's kind of creepy and
creepy. If you haven't changed a diaper, you're in for a lot.
Yeah.
If you want to come babysit a 7-month-old.
I've only dropped 1 child in my life, so I think
perfect.
Great.
Good.
Oh, okay, good.
The odds are in our favor.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, Bri, I don't know if you remember this, but we actually worked together on a pilot for NBC. This was probably 20 years ago.
Oh my God, that's right.
I
was trying to figure out what it was because I knew we had worked together before.
Yeah, it was when I was first starting acting, and you were one of the principals. I was the cappuccino guy.
Yeah, it was what's her name? One of the head writers on Sex and the City did the show.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, and it was Brad Rowe.
Brad Rowe,
the male love interest. You were the best friend of the lead actress, and So what's great about my audience here, if you can see on the right-hand side here, they usually will Google and find out all this stuff and just throw it in there.
Yeah.
And by the way, guys, if you guys have any questions for Brian or Sharna while we are having our conversation, feel free to type in and ask. So I'm sure someone will dig it up and throw it in there. But I just have to say, I was so nervous because it was one of my first acting jobs. And I just remember you as being, super cool, super kind. I was like, oh my God, it's David Silver. Like, what's he going to be like? And you were awesome, man. Thank you.
You were great. You did a great job. That was a super fun pilot. I remember that.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a shame it didn't get picked up, but obviously, we've known you from 90210. We all grew up watching you. Would you say that was probably your favorite project to date?
Sure.
Yeah. Say yes to that.
So I did the pilot of it, and then they went ahead and did the series. Or the first season without me. They were like, yeah, no, I think we're going to go in a different direction. I was like, okay, so you're firing me from the pilot. Okay, all right. So yeah, that's, it happened.
So how'd you come back?
I didn't.
Oh, you're talking about the one you guys did with each other.
Yeah.
Okay. I was talking about 90210. I was saying when you first were cast on 90210, because you grew up in North Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
So, and your father was a country western star, if I'm correct.
Drummer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Was he prominent in the country western scene? Was he?
He was touring with Glenn Campbell when I was born. Who did the song "Rhinestone Cowboy" and all that stuff.
Wow.
So my dad was touring with him for a while. I was going to all music schools studying music, and I ended up going to an elementary school on the USC campus, which is, for people that don't know, it's a big directing school. A lot of directors come out of USC.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing a few student films when I was there, and kind of fell in love with it. And this kid that I rode the bus with was doing commercials and was kind of making his own money. And I thought that was really cool because my dad was very rough as far as if I wanted anything. He was like, well, how's this going to better your future? And I was like, I'll be a puppeteer. I don't know what you want from me. I just want this Muppets puppet. So I ended up doing a few student films. I met with this kid's agent and became an actor from there. And I started when I was 9 professionally. I joined SAG and I was working.
Wow. Awesome. And what was, I think it was Knots Landing was your first job?
Knots Landing was the first series that I did. I was 10 and a half. I did that for about 4 years. Yeah.
But you did commercials.
I'd done commercials before then. Yeah.
All right. And was it something that you just like fell in love with, or was it because you started out like with music? Was it kind of like, well, I'm just going to kind of see how this goes, or what would you say?
It was, I enjoyed doing it. I didn't know that it could become a career. Because I was so young, I just didn't have the comprehension of, oh, this is like, people do this and make a living doing this. I always, up until I had done a commercial, I always assumed that TVs were magic and there were like special people that were on them that were like living somewhere else doing television. So I remember when I found out, like, oh, I could be an actor too. I was like, are you serious? Like, how it works that way? And then all of a sudden, I was on a set, and I was doing it at 10 years old. I had done commercials before then, tons of commercials. I did probably 75 commercials.
Wow.
When I was younger. I didn't work at all the first year that I had an agent because I would go on auditions, and I just didn't. It's like until you realize how to do it, you don't know. Like I would show up for auditions and it was more like fun and kind of odd and awkward. And I'd go in and audition and nothing. And then all of a sudden I booked a commercial and I was like, I had a light bulb moment. I was like, oh, I get it. This is what they're looking for. And then I was just booking everything. And it got to the point where I had to stop going to school because I was working so much.
Wow. So
I was doing school on set. I had done probably 8 other pilots before 90210. So 90210 was just another pilot. And honestly, it wasn't my favorite. I didn't read the script and I was like, oh, this is a really good one. I read the script and I was like, I'll do this. I mean, this is what you do. Back during that time, like late 80s, that was part of what you did as an actor. It was like you would hope. There were a couple pilot seasons. There was in November and then like February, March.
Yeah.
You would go and audition and you would book a pilot and you'd do a pilot and then you'd go do other stuff to make money. That was just part of the process. So 90210 was just another pilot. And did that one. Like all the others, and I said, nice to meet you to everybody, and that was a ton of fun, and I'll see you on something else. And then got a call back that they wanted to do 13 more, because Fox was this sort of fledgling network.
Yeah.
So they gave us a shot when other networks would have let us go, because nobody watched the show. Nobody really watched the show for the first season. We would go and promote and do all sorts of stuff. And nobody came out, so we did the first 13, and Fox was kind enough to give us the back 9, which we were shocked with because literally nobody still was watching the show. So we did 9 more, and they ran into the summer. And Aaron Spelling, God rest his soul, bless him, amazing man. had this idea of doing summer episodes. So when other shows were in reruns and kids were on summer break from school, 90210 would have new episodes on.
It's a great idea.
So so they were on, and literally overnight, within like a 2-week period, our show went from nobody watching to everyone watching. And it was just an explosion of what it was that we were doing.
And Sharna, were you watching in Australia?
I wasn't actually.
No, I wasn't.
I was not.
She was busy dancing.
I was dancing, but I was also just not watching TV like that at the time. I think I was always doing after school activities, and I think 90210 was on later than my bedtime too.
Okay.
Right. She was pretty young when the show came on. Not to age myself, but to kind of age myself.
What? Yeah, to age you for a little second.
Yeah.
What year did 90210?
90 to 2000.
Yeah, I was 5. So,
or something like that. She may be off on the number. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, I'll give her that mistake. Mistakes happen.
I was 5. Yeah.
Okay.
I was 5.
Well,
so I didn't really watch it, but I remember even as I was older, there were people that loved the show, and I wanted to, but I still was not really watching shows like that. It was pretty like grown-up content for my parents. So like, no, you can stick to the cartoons or whatever we would watch, Sesame Street. But everyone.
I'm sorry, mind you, let me cut in real fast. This was the same little girl that sang "I'll Make Love to You" by Boyz II Men to her parents into a hairbrush.
I did.
Okay, but she wasn't allowed to watch 90210.
I was not aware of what I was saying.
Okay.
Oh, it's a good story. But I would have been all of 10 years old, and I'll never forget.
Way too young.
Never forget my dad's face.
Yeah.
Throw your clothes on the floor. Do you remember those lyrics?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was in first grade, and I just remember I loved this song, and it was dun, 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 dun. So I'm like, I just like the beat. I was like, I didn't even really, and so I bring it for show and tell, and I push play, and it's "My blood runs cold, my angel is the centerfold," and my team literally runs over, turns the recorder off. I'm like, what? That's my favorite song. She was like, okay, we're gonna call. You can sit down now.
Right. You did a fantastic job of sharing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No idea what the lyrics meant. I was just like, I don't know. I like the beat, like.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I thought I sounded amazing singing that song for my mum and dad.
Yeah. And you did, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Totally.
It would have sounded more amazing with 90210 on in the background, but whatever.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
I know it now.
A lot of what I like to share here is just some insight, advice, maybe some whatever you would say to someone who's like maybe looking to get into the industry, maybe parents who have kids who are looking to become dancers or actors. What advice would you say, or would you give to your younger self, or anyone out there who's like looking to start to get into the business? Because it has changed since we started. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is off tapes and stuff. What advice would you give to anyone out there right now looking to get into the business?
Myself, I would say study. If you love it and you're serious about it, study it. Just study every different theory of acting, every different process of it. Find what works the best for you and be prepared. I'm not one that believes in luck necessarily. I believe in preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
So just prepare, just study and love it and be in it. And then when that opportunity comes, because you never know when it will, you'll be ready for it.
Yeah. I think that's great advice for any industry. Whatever it is. Say again?
Sorry, I was just following up with Brian. Did you study much when you were?
I did.
Like you got
I took
success very early on.
I took improv classes when I was a kid, and scene study, and I probably took 3 or 4 different acting classes.
Okay.
And then even after 90210 was going for a while, I still was taking acting class with Larry Moss, this guy who is unbelievable.
I studied with him. He got me ready for Something Borrowed, the movie I did.
Really?
You
He's
know?
amazing.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And Sharna, when we were chatting on your episode of Coffee with Colin, you mentioned that from a very early age, you just were like, you were dancing out of the womb. And you mentioned that you think anyone can dance. You mentioned that as long as you believe you can do it, then you think that anyone can dance. And it's funny to hear people say, well, I can't dance. I can't dance. And I think it's just because people are embarrassed to dance and they just,
100%.
Yeah.
It's not to say everyone can dance professionally. That's a different thing, but everyone can absolutely enjoy the beauty of movement and what that can do for you, what it can do for your confidence, how the health benefits to it. Absolutely everyone can dance if they can let go of the idea that they need to be the best in the room at it. If you can just look at dance as a freedom of your expression, a way to just release energy and feelings, and just have a good time or have a laugh, then you can really enjoy it. But people do get super insecure about what they look like or what they're doing, or get hung up on, but I don't know what I'm doing, and then they miss out on this beautiful thing. Very different to acting. I'm not sure that everyone can act, but I do believe everyone has the ability to move to music and let go and have a good time.
Which brings us to it take much convincing to have Brian come on Dancing with the Stars.
Actually, well, it was both of us that needed to be convinced. It's a lot of. Brian never had the desire to do the show. He'd been asked for like nearly all of the seasons that they've had it on. But originally when we talked about it, even I was like, no, we're not going to do this with each other. It's not an experience that I know if it's really great for a couple to do. It could be amazing, but who knows? It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of work. We at the time had 3 kids at home. There's a lot. How do we logistically figure this out? And do we want to put a microscope on ourselves and our relationship like that? Because everyone's going to have an opinion of that one little like side eye glance that I gave you or you gave me. And then it's going to be articles everywhere, which it was anyway. But I mean, Bri has his own story to tell on how we came around to it and his reasons for doing it. But it definitely wasn't an easy yes for either of us.
It was it had been offered to me for years, and it had always been a hard pass for me because I have no intention of ever being a dancer. I just had I thank God have had a career as an actor and continue to. So I was like, I'm an actor. I don't want to do a dance competition. That's just that just doesn't sound fun to me at all.
Right.
Sharna and I, when we first started dating, had talked about it, and we had talked about the fact that it was something that we wouldn't do.
We joked about it.
Yeah, we joked about it. And then the call came in to do it, and Sharna and I were getting really serious relationship-wise at the time, and it was the pandemic, so there wasn't a lot going on just in the world in general, let alone on sets acting. And the more we sat and talked about it, the more we thought, you know what, I feel like this is happening right now for a reason, which is we're all about that. We're all about like the universe puts things in your path at the point when you're really ready to do them. And looking back on it, it's funny how many different opportunities Sharna and I would have had to meet.
To even meet each other.
Yeah, on the show. I was offered the season before, which the person that ended up doing it instead of me was then dancing with Sharna. Like we had all of these opportunities to have met, and we didn't. And I honestly feel like it was the universe going, yeah, this just isn't the right time. Like you guys aren't ready for a relationship like this yet. So we just felt like the stars were aligned in doing it. And they really were. It was we met almost no resistance in doing the show.
Yeah, it was amazing.
We had no resistance from people watching the show. We had no resistance ourselves in doing it. I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult because the experience is
it's live.
It's really
well that, but also like we didn't have the control over, which you don't have when you do the show, but they really put so much emphasis on us as a relationship and didn't allow people to get to know Bri, which is the beauty of the show. For so many people that are doing it, everyone gets to know the human, but no one got to know anything about Bri other than the fact that we were a couple.
Right.
And then they would blame whether our dance was good on us being a couple. And it was like, can we just have the normal experience of this show?
Yeah.
And so that
you guys are the ones editing these packages together and talking about this stuff.
Like so many more amazing moments happened in our rehearsal, of even complete vulnerability of things that we were talking about, and Bri's fears of either letting me down or all these different things. There's so many beautiful conversations, but did we look at that? No, we didn't. We didn't focus on anything human-like or story about him. It was just very surface level, and it felt like it was not a gimmick, that's the wrong word, but it was just simply to make a headline. And
it was a shame. I mean, I had gone through neurological stuff before then, so it was a big challenge for me to be there, learning choreography, doing all of that. It was extremely frustrating at times for me because I'm a perfectionist by nature. So to be in something where it's like my brain just could not do what needed to be done was really frustrating. And that none of that was shared, even though we talked about it and the cameras caught it.
Really?
Yeah. So it was, looking back on it, that was a little frustrating. But we ended up having 4 really fun routines. We really got I got to experience what it was like for her dancing, understanding the passionate side of it for her, understanding how much work goes into it. So now when I see her dancing or other people dancing, I have a much better understanding of like, wow, that is nowhere near as easy as she makes it look.
Right.
Which is amazing. It's to have the opportunity to experience that and learn that is not something that people normally get the opportunity to do of their partner. So that was an absolute blessing.
And you know what else is amazing is that in any other relationship that I've had in the past, Dancing with the Stars schedule has also always been very difficult in that relationship. The time-consuming nature of it, just simply the hours there and then the hours at home while having to do your groundwork. And now that Bri has been a part of that experience, it's not like, oh, really? You're at rehearsal for 12 hours? It's like, Riyadh, you're at rehearsal.
It's like, see you tonight. Have a good night. Here's some chicken for you. Here's some chicken and a nice protein drink. I'll see you later.
There's a different level of
6 hours a day of rehearsal?
Minimum 6 hours. It's literally like it is so taxing on your brain and your body. It's beyond words. It's a 7-day-a-week job because you got to think live shows Monday, right? So Monday night you're dancing. Tuesday morning you're in the studio and you're learning a whole new dance style,
so intense.
Whole new song, whole new routine, and you've got to have that together for the live show the following Monday.
Right.
So it's a lot. Oh, okay.
So I'm just going to turn the light up a little bit because we've lost our sun.
There we go.
All right. So Bri, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you describe the difficulty level of Dancing with the Stars? And
for me, a 10. For most people, 9.5.
It's difficult for everyone, but because of Bri Bri can dance. The physical ability is so there. He was just really frustrated with his brain and not letting him remember the movement, and so therefore it created a lot of frustration for him with himself. But it is a difficult experience, not just in physical ability and what you have to learn, whether you can dance or can't dance. It is that it consumes you for the time that you do this show. It is everything you think about, everything you eat is because of it. Your whole day is how are you going to remember this
preparing
dance
for the live
and
show
how are you going to be better at it. It is consuming, and anyone that comes on the show that thinks they can do it in just a couple hours a day is having a laugh, because even Alfonso Ribeiro, who is incredibly talented, and came
the
on
producers are really good at like making it seem like it's a light job to get people on, like, oh, it's like 2 hours a day of practice, it's easy.
But it's not, and if you're competitive, it's really not, because you want to do all the extra work. I know you want to do the show. Hopefully you can get it.
The reason why I would is because I like to do things that scare the shit out of me. So.
Okay, well, that's the one.
Well, also now is the time to do it, because we have Conrad Greenback, who is just the most amazing director. That he was with the show originally. He is an executive producer. He's now back, and the show really has its magic back, in my opinion. When I was there watching it last season, I was like, ooh, I have FOMO. I have big FOMO. And the last couple of years, the show, for me, lost a lot of the magic. And now under Conrad's direction, it really feels like a beautiful experience again. And that's what I want for you. I want for you to have the experience of the show that I know, and that is happening now. So let's fingers crossed that you get on it.
Yeah, it was great, because I saw you guys. I was there to see my buddy
banging the table and then the camera moves.
My bad. You don't like
Sorry, Colin. I'm just directing things.
That's
just making sure the production value.
I also made the light too bright. Look at us.
You guys look great. It's just like
it's a bit more dramatic. I like it. It makes me look a little younger.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. But yeah,
especially if I'm way back here and over. It's amazing how young I look back here.
Horrible overhead lighting here in the city.
I know, that's what we've got. Yeah.
But I was there supporting my buddy Trevor Donovan, and just to
Trevor,
see.
by the way, he's another one who was like terrified to go there. Thought, oh, I can't dance. I've never wanted to dance.
He did.
And he was great.
He was amazing.
He did a great job.
Yeah, it's because I was there. I was like, you can do it. You can do it.
Totally. It was your influence and presence.
And you were there in spirit every week.
Exactly.
We could all feel it.
Yeah. So having spent that much time together, and there's a lot of couples that work together, would you say that you guys learned something about each other through that whole experience that you didn't know beforehand?
I think we learned that we can get through anything with each other. Certainly it didn't feel like, it felt like we were a team even more than ever. We really learned how to work well with each other, how to resolve. It wasn't necessarily conflict, but tension. You know, we definitely had moments of tension in the room, and we had to have very open, honest conversation about where we were both coming from, and not just to be heard, but to listen and to work through that. We didn't fight ever, but we definitely felt the stress, especially in the later weeks of it. And I think
we had moments where it was just the exhaustion would catch up.
Yeah.
And you would just be sitting there thinking I don't know if we should be doing this anymore. Like this is
this really worth it? Like the stress that is putting on us.
Because for us it was really important to do the show and enjoy that experience as much as possible, but still continue to keep our main focus, our relationship and each
first.
Other. Yeah. That's at the end of the day that just so outweighed judges' scores and how long we were there for. The experience honestly was done at the end of the first night when we had danced. I felt like we did it. That was amazing. Like we got to dance together and enjoy each other.
Yeah.
So then the rest was just like, hey, how long do we get to do this? Together.
Yeah.
It wasn't really about the final outcome. It was about the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when we're younger in life, we get attracted to people, and we start dating because of that physical attraction. And now that I'm older, I look back and I realize that obviously chemistry is important, that physical attraction, and I'm sure because you guys are both incredibly good looking, on your first date you were physically attracted to each other. But what would you say is some key ingredients that are necessary for a successful relationship, other than chemistry and even love? Because you can love someone and it may not be the right person for you. What would you say is a key ingredient other than the chemistry and loving someone that makes a successful relationship?
You want to take that one, or should I
I
take
think
that?
we both take it.
So we had both, at the point when we met each other, we had both been through a lot of personal growth. We had really spent a lot of time reflecting on life and reflecting on who we had been in relationships before, what we liked, what we didn't like, and we had taken responsibility for who we were and what we wanted to change. I think I honestly feel like in life we travel on a path, and if you find somebody that is maybe in a different way but on the same path with you, that has the same views, the same common goals, the same understanding of things, it's to me, it's power in numbers. I would much rather, instead of being alone on that path, I would much rather be with someone I enjoy being on that path with. And then you travel that path as long as you're on the same path. I don't feel like when relationships end, that's necessarily a bad thing. I think sometimes people, just in age and in experience and in living life, you just sort of end up on a different path sometimes than other people. And it's not because you don't like them or because there's a major problem. It's literally like our lives don't intersect and meet and work as smoothly as they did before.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Sharna and I, from the second we met, had amazing conversation and quickly learned that aside from the physical attraction, that we had so many commonalities just in what we wanted to accomplish, the type of people that we felt like we were, what we wanted to attract, and so we it just early on became very apparent that it was easy to be together. It didn't take a lot of work.
Easy is the word.
That's
That's one of the things. It was being with Bri was the easiest thing I'd ever done. And on paper, you wouldn't think that, right? He's coming out of a marriage, a long-term relationship. He has 4 kids already. Like it could have been complicated.
Tons of baggage. I'm old, I've got a lot of lines on my face and stuff like that.
I mean, there's a lot of space there for resistance, right? For the kids transitioning into having another person around. Like there's a lot there that could have been resistance, but yet there was none of that. It was easy. Everything was easy. My conversation with Bri was easy. The silence with Bri was easy. Everything felt easy. There was no resistance. And so you have to go, oh my God, this is what it's meant to feel like. And it doesn't mean there isn't ever resistance or friction, but one of the things that in part of it being easy you have is communication. Open, honest communication that allows you to truly say what you think, feel, who you are, what you want. And that's something we were very sure of when we met each other because of the work that we'd done, the therapy, life experience, what we'd both gone through to be those people. We knew sitting in front of each other, this is not about me trying to impress you and you trying to impress. This is not about any of it. This is just simply like, let's see if we connect. I know who I am. I've worked really hard to be who I am. So if you fit with this, dope. Let's do that.
I feel like that whole honeymoon period that people go through is honestly not a great thing, because that means that you have put on this mask or this facade of what you think the other person wants, and you've only been able to maintain that for about 6 months. And then all of a sudden that wears off on both people, and it's like, okay, now shit is real. Like now we're traveling together, we're seeing each other during stressful times and rough times and all of that. And then all of a sudden you start falling out of like with somebody, going, I don't like being with this person when they're having a tough day, because this isn't who they, sold me on when I first met them. So we made a point early on of being as honest and upfront with each other as we could. We would have conversations and go, okay, tell me what your worst qualities are.
Yeah, we did
And
that
we
on
would
our
get-
third date.
We would get into those. So we never really had a honeymoon period. We never got to a point where it was like, okay, you know, guard down. Like now I'm going to show you who I am. It's like, no, I've been showing you who I was since
the
the
whole
very beginning.
time. Yeah, I think that's really important. And something else to take notice of is a lot of the time we project when we go on dates, right? When you're trying to find that person, we make them what we want them to be. So sometimes it's not even that they're putting out something they're not. It's that we're trying to fit them into this box. And then eventually you notice that those things they do annoy the crap out of you because actually you were pretending it didn't. And now you're seething mad every time it happens. Like we can do that to ourselves too. So we have to take that accountability when trying to meet someone about what do you really want other than to be loved? Because there are other things that need to be a priority when finding that.
One more thing, Colin, just to completely overwhelm this subject and
just please
pour the crap out of you and put you to sleep while you're on vacation. I think it's unhealthy to come into a new relationship with red flags from the previous one. I think it's unfair. I think if you look back on the relationships in your life that really worked and kind of meant the most, they tend to be your earliest relationships because you went into those without having bad experiences before, so you were much more open to who the person was. And I know that's a hard thing to do for people because that means trusting when for a lot of people trust is a hard thing because they've come out of something that ended horribly.
For a reason,
but if you really want to go into a new relationship with a clean slate and give it a shot, the person that you're going into a new relationship with is not the person that you were in a relationship with before. So you don't want to penalize them for the things that you experienced before. So as much as possible, going in and going, okay, I'm going to just jump into this. As scary as this is and as hard as it is, open-minded, open-hearted, and just like love this experience and see where it takes me.
Great advice, guys. What would you say
now it's nappy time for you?
No, now I can have a
it's like hypnotherapy.
Sharna, what would you say is maybe something that most people misunderstand about Brian?
His humor sometimes and his sarcasm. I think people can sometimes be like, what? Like not understanding if he's for real or not. He can play himself off as a dick, and I lovingly and jokingly call him that, but he's truly not. He's got the biggest heart. But I think sometimes people sort of like, they do like the little head tilt at things that he says or jokes he's saying, or try and pretend they know what he's saying because they don't quite get his humor. But I'm a sarcastic person. Aussies are that's our love language is sarcasm. So like it works very well for us. But I think that can be something people don't understand. I do think people more and more now, simply because I plaster you all over my social media, understand how much of an amazing father and human he is. I don't think people got that window into him before. And that used to bother me that people didn't know that about him. This incredible man that is the most amazing father I'd ever seen in my life, you know, and one of the reasons I fell in love with him. And I think people see that now about him a little more because that really is who he is.
Great answer. And Brian, what would you say is something that most people don't know about Sharna? Or
I have nothing to say after that. That was I just want to soak that in.
Yeah, man.
I don't. So Sharna's an interesting one because normally people say, you know, what do you feel like someone doesn't know or is misunderstood? Sharna she might be the only person I've ever met in my life who I tried doing research on her, like looking into it and seeing, you know, what's out there, like what are people saying about, you know, what are their experiences with her,
people we both worked with.
And literally I couldn't find one bad one, one negative one. Everyone that I ever spoke to loved Sharna, had an amazing experience with her, whether in work, whether in life, at a restaurant, at a shoe store. It was absolutely everywhere. So at the point when we first started dating and the word got out, it hit the press. It's amazing how many people came out of the woodwork just loving the fact that we were together.
Good job, Brian. You got a good one.
Yeah, they just loved her. And they were like, oh, man, she's amazing. And you guys are going to be so amazing together. And what an incredible thing. And it's so I don't know if there is a lot that people don't know. I think it's more important that people just continue to watch her because she is constantly giving good advice to people. Oh, my son's home from school.
All right.
That's what that noise is.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what, Sharna, I do have to say, what I do admire about you is that you are so brave and so authentic about how you share, like on social media. And, a lot of, I would say most people are afraid, especially women, to put themselves out there without makeup on and just, without dressed up. I think what I admire about you, and I think what so many people admire about you, and I think what Brian admires about you is that you're just who you are. You're authentically you. You're brave. You radiate, and I just love your posts because they're so real and authentic. It just makes people get to see a side of you that I think in the entertainment industry a lot of people don't get to see, and I think that's one of the reasons why I would say Brian is
it's true. Yeah.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I'm a lucky man.
Yes, you are. Sharna, if you were to write a book about Brian, what would the title be?
Dick.
Yeah. With a question mark. Dick. Oh, probably. That's so funny. No, I don't even know. What would the title be? Oh my God.
It's kind of a tough question, Colin.
That's a tough question.
Yeah. It's the hard-hitting stuff you're getting.
And I'm going to ask you the same question, Brian. What would the
can't. Our connection seems to be bad. I can't understand what
Listen, I feel like Dick needs to be in the title. Lovable Dick? No, then it just sounds weird. I don't know. We'd have to come back to that.
I think the takeaway here is you just got to have a great, you have to have the same sense of humor in order to get along. I mean, I think it's so key to have a similar sense of humor because if you don't have that, oof.
Yeah.
We're both really self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Which is great for us. We don't take ourselves too seriously. Mm-hmm. So we can joke with each other and sometimes get on the same bandwagon. Like I'll say something about myself and she'll go, yeah, you are. Yeah. Like you're absolutely dead on. You're spot on with that one. So we enjoy each other. We don't take stuff too seriously and then get, have ruffled feathers about it and fight about stuff.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to laugh with and at each other, because you have to, man.
Not at the other person's expense. Not in a mean way. I think that's, it's sort of healthy. People always talk about, arguing and whatever. I don't think arguing with someone is a problem as long as it's done in a healthy way, as long as you don't say mean things that you can't ever take back.
We have never had a fight. We've had disagreements that we diffuse and talk about, but there's never been a fight, never raised voices, never slamming doors, never not speaking to each other. But we've definitely had, because life, you know what I mean? We've had disagreements and things, or open conversation about how we felt about something that had happened, but we've never had a fight. And I think that is, that just goes back to communication. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Brian, if you could describe Sharna in one word, what word would you describe her as?
That's tough.
One word. Amazing.
And besides Dick, what would you describe Brian as, Sharna?
Oh, it's a tough choice. That's like first, second, and third.
Right, yeah.
One word is so hard. I don't want to choose amazing because you just used it, but like
Totally.
amazing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She tends to steal my ideas sometimes, and so that's a perfect example.
I'm a thief.
Yeah.
You guys are just absolutely adorable. I have a few more questions here. What is Sharna's biggest pet peeve?
What's one that?
Gosh.
Everything. No. I'm kidding. There's
She doesn't really have many pet peeves.
I have some, but I've never had to point them out so like massively. But yeah, I won't answer for you. Take a guess.
Doing the dishes.
Well, you could answer for me, and then that would help me out. I mean,
Yeah.
unless you don't want to help me out, which we'll talk about that later.
Biggest pet peeve is?
I don't know if it's his biggest, but I know like loose cords everywhere.
I have a few.
He has a few.
Yeah.
He has like everyone has a little bit of OCD, but he has OCD a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
So for him, it's like loose cords. He's always wrapping them up somewhere.
Okay.
Messy cars.
Yeah, cords just sitting around. Also, oh my God, rattles in cars.
Rattles in cars.
I hate when I'm driving and
Oh,
I hear
yeah.
something
I
rattling.
will physically
Like
see him
rolling
like,
in the trunk or like.
Yeah, I will have to stop the car and get out and find it and like
Yes.
tack it down somehow because that drives me insane.
I'm right there with you, brother. Yeah.
For me, two of my pet peeves would be chewing with your mouth open. Dear God, I do not need to listen to people eat food. It is the worst thing on the planet. And like heavy mouth breathers. You know when you're somewhere in public and there's just someone just, really heavy mouth breathing.
Just struggling to live. Yeah.
It makes me feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Does Brian snore, Sharna?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
Big
Like
time.
a man. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Or a freight train.
Right,
But like,
okay, right. Or a wild animal.
Wild
Right.
animal.
Looking for food.
But he's amazing though. He wears the nose strips at night. And it's because, bless him, he broke his nose, like fully broke his nose when he was a teenager. And his dad was like, "You'll be all right.
No, I
No
wasn't.
worries about
I
it."
wasn't even a teenager.
Didn't get it fixed.
No, I was skateboarding, and I fell so hard on my forehead that it broke my nose.
Right.
Oh. Wow.
And my parents were like, "Oh, just rub it off. You'll be fine." I
You'll
went
be
to
fine.
school the next day with like black eyes, and my nose just kept running, and it was.
So he's got
And
like
like when I remember being in PE doing jumping jacks, and I could feel it moving around, and so it healed improperly. So I have an 80% blockage on one side and a 60% on the other.
yeah.
And yeah.
So he's gonna get his septum done at some point, but so he can breathe properly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of important.
Yeah.
Can you imitate his snoring for us?
Oh, I have a recording of it, but I'm not going to do that to him.
Yeah. Okay.
Nah, I'm not going to do that.
All right. What would you say is maybe a failure that each of you had that you learned the most from, or that you learned an important lesson from?
That's a tough question because I honestly don't look at things as failures anymore. I think thinking of something as a failure can stop you from trying it again, which it's just such a big disservice to you. So I don't look at things as failures. I mean, there are definitely things that I've gone through. I remember when I recorded an album in like 94, 95, and it was the first thing that I had done that just wasn't received well. And I remember for me, that was really hard to deal with at the time because it was the first it was the first time I had experienced something that felt like failure at the time, and I just felt so judged for it.
And it was really good, by the way, like an amazing hip hop album, but it wasn't what people wanted from David Silver on 90210. It was more like
looking back at things though in life that felt like failures at the time. I'm so thankful that I went through them, because those are the things that sculpt who you are. And I was lucky enough to try and be as positive about those experiences possible, those experiences. And I tried to learn something later on in life from them all. And I wouldn't change who I am now at all. And it took all of those experiences to make the person that I am. So
yeah,
I'm thankful for all of them. At the time when I was going through things, I remember feeling at times like, God, why am I going through this? Like, this is, this sucks.
And especially such a big scale. I mean, a lot of people, if they, make a mistake, or if they screw something up, they don't have the whole world looking.
Right. Exactly.
That's got to be intense, man.
That's intense. The neurological stuff that I went through, I had about 4.5 years of recovery. Which it's a long period of time. And I remember being in that going, and not being able to speak and not being able to vocalize it, but in my own head thinking, boy, this is really hard. This is absolutely the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life. But looking back on it now, having recovered from it, having fully recovered from it, I look back on it and I go, man, what a catalyst that experience was. Sometimes you need those things. You need those little, sort of kicks in the butt to force you to do things that you wouldn't do necessarily on your own. And then you go through them and you come out of them and they just make you so much better of a person than you were before those experiences happened.
That's amazing, man. Give you a lot of credit for that.
You have to, people go through incredibly difficult things in life. You go through, the loss of loved ones. You go through career changes. You go through, housing situations and health things, and you go through stuff. I kind of feel like at this point in life, the only thing that I really have control over is the person I choose to be going through all of it. That's the only thing I can be consistent with, because life isn't consistent. It has amazing times. It has really hard times. But the person that you choose to be through all of them, I think ends up being your legacy. That's who you are. And who I want to be is somebody that other people look back on and go, that dude was cool. Like, he went through a lot of stuff, but man, did I learn a lot from that guy. And Sharna is the same. Sharna's very much the same way. She's just all about the experience that she can share with people and what she can help people with genuinely. She doesn't feel like she needs to. She genuinely wants to, and she enjoys doing it. So that's a huge thing that we have in common. And I'm so lucky to have someone that inspires me that way, and then someone that I can share that inspiration with.
Oh my God, you can make me cry, dude. That was phenomenal and incredibly inspiring. And you do have a damn good partner that you've chosen, and
he's amazing.
You guys are awesome. You guys are and I appreciate your time, and want to transition now into, if you wouldn't mind sharing your movie recommendations. This is part of the show sponsored by my buddy Todd Courtney. Came up with this app called Picticular, and it's kind of like IMDb, but it's more got a social sharing element to it, where you can swipe left or right, and then by swiping left or right, it'll recommend whatever movies that it thinks would be the best fit for you. You can swipe up and save movies, and we can go in there and type in Ryan Austin Green. It'll show all your movies, and then you can actually tap. It'll show
which you absolutely should do if you haven't. So,
Yes.
yeah, right. Because I've got some real good ones out there.
Hey,
you'll see.
Yeah.
A movie recommendation. I mean, one of my favorite things that I've watched in recent years was Maverick. Honestly, dude, that was such an amazing.
Maverick is so good.
Oh my god! But it's such a the cinema experience of it too was so amazing. But I imagine at home with a surround sound or however you watch it, it's just such a great movie.
I've done
good regardless.
It's pretty good at home.
And then I know it's not out. It's probably not on. You can't look it on particular yet. But the new Avatar, I bawled like a baby. Have you seen it?
Yeah. I haven't. I saw the first one and just, I mean, jaw dropping.
No, you must go watch this. I cried like an absolute baby so many times.
So this one,
I'm a sensitive human.
This
but
one
like,
is a standalone movie. Like it's, you're used to going to see sequels that you have to have seen the first one, and they're a direct connection, and it's just sort of continuing the life of characters that you've grown with.
Yeah.
Avatar, the new one, is
like it's
such an amazing standalone movie.
Right.
It really just on its own is an incredible film experience. If it was the first one and Avatar, the number one didn't exist, you'd go see The Way of Water, and you'd walk away going, that was one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. Totally. And that's how I felt about the first Avatar. I think I saw it in theaters like 5 or 6 times. It's an experience. Yeah.
We went to watch it twice.
Yeah, we've seen it twice already. We went to the theater the first time, and then we went to see it in IMAX.
Yeah, it's amazing. But if anyone wants to watch an old movie,
well, here's the thing. I've got some questions for you. This the movie that you're about to recommend might actually be the answer to one of the questions.
Oh, okay.
So the first question of the particular pick 6 is, what is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh shoot. Favorite movie of
Jaws
all
for me.
time. Yeah, that would be not a Star Wars?
No. I mean, I love Star Wars, but Jaws, that was Steven Spielberg at his absolute best. I mean, there are only a few directors that I can really look back on and think they have just consistently upped the bar as far as films that they make. James Cameron is one of them, and Steven Spielberg is the other. Guess
how old Spielberg was when he directed Jaws?
He was in his 20s, I think.
26.
26. 26. So imagine 26 years old. You get a film. You get a film financed through Universal Pictures, which he originally started working for Universal. See, I know all these stupid facts just because I love his career.
Yeah.
So, and you probably haven't heard this either, baby.
All right.
So, Steven Spielberg, when he was young, he got wind of an office space that became available on the Universal lot. So he would sneak onto the lot and use that office space as his own. And so then people started connecting him and thinking he somehow worked with Universal Pictures. So he did a few things. Jaws, movie about a great white shark, which didn't work when they were shooting. Bruce.
They named him Bruce after Steven's lawyer.
Yeah. Who he was constantly on the phone with, who was like, your movie's going to get shut down. So Steven had this idea of, as long as we get a page a day or a shot a day, something insane, the studio will kind of back off a little bit because we're at least doing something. So they continued shooting this film.
Do you know why it didn't work?
Why? Because of the saltwater.
Yes. They had tested the shark in a pool in LA, and then when they went,
it was hydraulic
to shoot
but then they sunk it in the ocean, and it literally just like continued to sink. They had to pull it out. They had to like rework the whole thing.
The rubber bloated up, and it was just like it wouldn't work.
Crazy.
You two are hilarious, but I can leave. Do you want me? I can go. It's cool.
Once you guys,
but that film, and then we'll stop talking about, or I'll stop talking about Jaws. You can continue to if you want to, just because I so respect you for it.
Go ahead.
That movie, under those circumstances, some of the finest acting I've seen in a film. I mean, Robert Shaw's telling of the SS Indianapolis and that disaster underneath the boat, which he did a rewrite on himself, and he was actually on the Indianapolis, I think, at that point. So it was a whole connection that he had there.
Yeah.
That film, just under the immense amount of pressure that Spielberg was in making that film, the things that would make so many other people throw in their hat and just say, this one's done. It's not working. Like, never mind. The fact that it was completed and turned out as amazing as it did, that's filmmaking to me. I mean, now so much more can be done because of CG, and it's really limitless what can be done. But back then, a director's hands were so tied with what could be done practically. And he just absolutely delivered. And I think that was the first summer blockbuster ever, that film.
Yeah, it went on to just kill at the box office. And because I read this book called "It's Not About the Shark," and in it, and the whole like lesson behind all of that was, he was saying, like, I was 26 years old and my career almost ended before it even started. And he said, because they blew through their budget just trying to get the shark to work, that he said, if I was going to focus on trying to fix this damn shark and throw more money at it, I knew I was doomed. And he said he took a step back, and the whole lesson is, instead of focusing on the problem itself, if you look at it from a different perspective, and he asked the question, because Alfred Hitchcock was one of his favorite filmmakers, he said, what kind of film would Alfred Hitchcock make? And that's what gave him the idea to make a movie about a shark where the shark doesn't even appear until 80 minutes into the film, where the creation of a shark where the girl swimming and she gets kind of tugged under is more scary than actually seeing the shark itself.
Somebody's imagination, you paint this picture of what's happening way worse than anybody could ever make.
Yep.
But I heard like that was one of the reasons why the yellow barrels on the boat were brought into play, because the shark wasn't working. So they were like, how do we keep the concept of this shark alive for the audience watching? And so that became a big focus for them. Such a cool thing. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
All right. What was your favorite movie growing up as a kid?
Mine was Strictly Ballroom. It's a Baz Luhrmann film, all Australian cast in it. And it's also probably my answer to the previous question, like what would be my favorite movie? Not because it's the absolute best, but the nostalgia of it, the role playing of Tina Sparkle for me. There's, the amazing ballroom dancer in it as a kid. And also the fact that the characters were based off of real people, and many of them I knew. The lead character, Scott Hastings, was based off of my mentor throughout my career, Jason Gilkison. So there's so many like personal ties into there. But that VCR tape was worn through when I was a kid. I loved that one.
Brian?
For me, aside from Jaws and Star Wars, Breakfast Club was a big one for me.
Oh man, that was
good movie.
That's one of those, like, the soundtrack to it, the actors in it, that time period was just so perfectly captured in that film. And it was so cool. It was so cool. I mean, at the end when Judd Nelson has just the one stud in and he does the fist pump it and it freezes and it's, Don't You Forget About Me, and it was so good. I like that.
Great movie.
Was it the Dean?
Don't mess with the bull.
You get the whole.
Yeah. Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get. And then he had the toilet paper hanging out the back of his pants.
Great movie.
I heard a ruckus. There was no ruckus in here, sir.
No ruckus.
Is that the ruckus you were speaking of? Yeah. Right.
Can I come over and just watch that with you sometime?
Yeah, I feel like you guys need to have a movie night with each other. This is what I'm picking up on.
Yeah. What is your favorite romantic comedy?
When Harry Met Sally.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Oh, I'm gonna second that. That's so good. And I only watched that last year for the first time.
Did you really?
Yeah, that was his reaction.
That was my suggestion. I was like, "You've never seen When Harry Met Sally?" That's
so good.
Okay, we're watching that.
Oh my god, it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of
she
movies.
was like, "Oh, Magic Mike is a great one." I was like, "Yeah, we'll save that for later."
Yeah.
But I would have been like, before I watched Harry Met Sally, I would have said like Love Actually, a very obvious
another great
choice,
one.
But another amazing one. But When Harry Met Sally is, oh my god,
so good.
Yeah. What is your favorite just straight comedy?
The Cable Guy.
Oh my god, yes, he's the cable guy.
I'm just jerking your chain. I'll juice you up.
I can't get through it. I couldn't get through it.
When I was single, when I was younger and single, and that movie came out, that was when I'd go on a date. That was a part of it. I would speak to her about how much she liked or didn't like the Cable Guy, because if she didn't, she wouldn't get my humor. So I was like, this is done. At this point, I'm just gonna have to cut this loose.
And then there's me, who can't make it through the movie, but who you ended up with.
Okay, I'm definitely coming over. You can take Zane to like
the Cable Guys.
So I'll do the diapers, and you guys will just come over here and hang out. Yeah. That's so funny.
Who is your favorite actor or male character in a movie?
Do you want to take this one, or should I?
No, you take it.
Anthony Hopkins,
Official.
Or Hannibal Lecter, still one of the all-time favorite characters for me.
Also, haven't seen that.
Closer.
Right. Okay. We'll discuss this. Still haven't seen Sounds of the
Still creepy.
I know. It's crazy.
Or Morgan Freeman.
In anything in particular, or just Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Freeman in
anything.
Practically everything he does, but one of my all-time favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
Haven't seen that.
Oh, Sharna.
I'm so sorry, guys.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's a dancing film, she's seen it.
Oh,
it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Pump It Up or what, she's seen all of those.
Step Up.
Sorry.
I haven't seen it.
Right. By the way, have you seen Baz Luhrmann's latest film, Babylon?
No, I haven't, but I want to.
Oh, amazing. It is
really.
Oh my! Just
Babylon is the one with Brad Pitt and
yes,
Margot Robbie.
Oh my God! Like, be prepared for an adrenaline rush for 2 hours.
Really?
Did you ever see Moulin Rouge?
I haven't seen Moulin. No.
He actually loves Moulin Rouge.
Man,
it's a great
movie. I gotta see
it. That Nicole Kidman and
Ewan
McGregor.
Yeah.
Wait, Babylon's out now?
John
That's at the cinema?
Leguizamo. Incredible.
Oh yeah, Babylon. I went to see it with my mom over Christmas.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she recommended it, because I was like, oh, it is phenomenal. Really.
We have to go see it. We should do that.
Yeah. It's incredible.
He's an amazing director. He's an amazing storyteller. Like, his point of view, how he shoots things and what he does is really unique. Yeah. It's really unique.
Corner in the beginning, and they walk through this debaucherous party, and it is just a one shot. The choreography, I think it's probably 7 minutes long, and it is just like you're holding.
I love that.
Like, holy shit! How the fuck did they do all this? Like,
is it like the one scene in Goodfellas when they're walking through the back door of the restaurant? They go through the kitchen, and then they go through, and then the table comes out, and the whole thing.
But I would say
on steroids.
Yeah, because there's music, there's dancing, there's people fighting, there's it is.
Moulin Rouge is amazing visually too. He's got this whole opening thing where it's going through pictures of people, and they're postcards, but then they're moving within it, and especially for that time period. I mean, that was in the 90s, mid to late 90s, Moulin Rouge, and it was just so groundbreaking and ahead of its time.
So cool.
And the score in that film was
amazing.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, they had songs from the Police, and it was astounding.
Yeah, it's a really cool
That
movie.
film.
Yeah. All right. I'll watch that. You guys watch Babylon.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And last question. Who's your favorite actress or female character?
I've been taking all these, baby. This is you.
But I feel like it's you. I mean, one of my favorite actresses to watch is Meryl Streep. But I feel like a lot of people say her. I think Cate Blanchett is also incredible. Watching her transform. I love people that transform.
Yep.
Like you don't really recognize.
Margot
them,
Robbie is doing amazing.
She's doing amazing stuff too. Super
phenomenal.
talented.
Yeah. Is Jennifer Lawrence too.
Jennifer Lawrence is great.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mean you're it's more your thing to have like a favorite person that inspires you or their acting. You know?
So you're putting all
yeah,
this,
I'm putting it on you. Yeah, you take it. You'd be all right.
It seems like she would want to like let me shine a little bit instead of like dragging me down into, the hellhole of answering a question of who's your favorite in the world. But whatever.
So hard to answer.
That's her choice.
Yeah.
You'll be all right.
Yeah.
I'll
let her make it.
I believe in you. Fly, baby, fly.
Or we could just end right here because it's been... Don't want to get you in trouble, Bri.
No. Jodie Foster is another good one.
Wow. Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
you haven't seen it, but Silence of the Lambs, pretty amazing.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
I believe it.
You guys are phenomenal, and you kind of answered the question of the legacy that you wanted to leave, Bri, which is usually my last question. Sharna, what kind of legacy? And it was a brilliant answer, very stirring. And Sharna, what would you say is your legacy that you'd like to leave and have left the world a better place because you were here?
I think, to be honest, I'm very much aligned with what Bri said. And I think that's one of the things that we connect on, that, what is your legacy and what do you hope to do? I hope to show our kids, the people around me, the people that watch me, that that being brave and vulnerable and honest is the path. That, to be so heavily influenced by this world of other people's opinions and the things that we watch. I think it's so important these days with social media and unrealistic expectations that people understand still the greatest thing you can be is real and true and authentic to yourself. And that does take bravery and courage in today's world. And I hope to inspire people to have that same thing, to know that they can do the same. But it's also simply what you said, to leave the world a better place, to be able to create change, that we have been gifted this platform. People watch us, people listen to us. You do the same thing with the what you're doing and your Inspire retreat that you're doing, like all this, trying to use what we have to help create something better for other people, whether that is a better perspective, a better opportunity, a better anything, to just try and use it for good. And hopefully by doing that, it can be paid forward with other people wanting to do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's called the road less traveled because it's a harder road.
Yeah.
But it's the life at the end of it is amazing, and so I'm willing to stay on it and keep beating the path.
Yeah. Well, you guys have been absolutely a delight to chat with and super inspiring. I don't know if you guys have been reading the comments on the right here. Everyone is just
we
like,
can't see them.
oh my God, I love you guys.
I've seen this last two.
Yeah. So it's probably been one of the best shows I've done. So thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Dude,
Colin,
thank you
was
for
so
having
good.
us. Colin,
yeah, appreciate it.
My God,
when's your movie night? Yeah.
Dude,
My
movie night.
goodness.
New place.
Dude, so good seeing you again.
Yeah, you too. Big hug for both of you guys, and all the best with the little guy.
Yeah,
and
thank
you. Guys
you.
soon.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Same to
All
you.
right.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Oh man, another amazing episode. Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch this again. I think a few of you had mentioned that you guys want to watch this episode again, but so much great insight, and you can just tell why these guys are so in love with each other. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from this episode is that it's just all about being authentic and being real and sharing, the best part of you, the worst part of you, and just being brave enough to be who you really are, to allow that other person to see who you really are. And when you're able to do that, you're going to find your person. And it's great to see that Brian and Sharna have found each other, and through all the lessons and through all the the tough things that we experience in life, as Brian was talking about, how it took him even a few years to overcome what he was going through. And the fact that we're all brave in certain ways, and we're all dealing with whatever it is that we're dealing with. But, I think one of the biggest takeaways here from both of them is that, if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keeping brave and keeping your authentic self, eventually you are going to find the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's just all about not giving up. And it's about, like they were saying, just choosing the person that you want to walk through life with. And, it's so important to just, again, keeping brave and keeping authentic, to be able to find that person, and then being brave enough to just get out there and admit when you do find that person, that this is who you are and this is what you're wanting and the values that you guys want to share together. And that's whether that's a romantic relationship, that's a work relationship, whatever it is. Again, I think the biggest takeaway here is just to be yourself. I know that's not always easy, and that's why I like to do this show, just to share that, seeing our favorite, actors and athletes and just even watching Brian grow up, on 90210, he was someone that I always, was like, man, I wish I could do what he was doing. And just to hear his story and just hear how real life is, I think it really gives us some hope and some inspiration that, we can create greatness and create the life that we want to have in life as well. And that's why I also have created Inspire and created the Inspire Retreat. So if you're interested in joining my next Inspire course, where we actually do create an amazing 6 weeks of creating and sharing and being able to be authentic, which is what I learned from being in my acting classes. And what I try to do is recreate that the environment of being in an acting class, where you get to learn a lot about yourself. You get to learn a lot about how to communicate better with people from an authentic perspective, and to just look at life perhaps from a different perspective that will help you overcome the challenges that you're dealing with currently. So we are starting, we started the next Inspire course this past Sunday, and we're going to be continuing on. This is the last week that you can jump in. And again, we're doing our live Inspire 5-week retreat in Tulum, Mexico in April. So if that's something that you're interested in doing, would love for you guys to join me on this. I'm super excited about it. And we're going to be able to create and manifest a lot of great things. So thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your week. And hopefully you got a lot out of this. I know I did. And wish you all my best. I'll see you next Monday. Take care.